Did you know that sugar can actually make you hungrier? And it's one of the worst things that you can possibly eat if you're trying to lose weight. It will also give you diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and many other diseases. And did you know that hidden sugars are the #1 killer in America? And they're responsible for 75% of all disease and illness? So today I'm gone, tell you the truth about sugar and what it can really do to your body. Okay, so let's first start off with the basics. What exactly is sugar? Well, there are 3 types of sugar. You have your monosaccharides, which are single sugars, such as glucose, fructose, and galactose. Then you have disocarides, which are double sugars, such as sucrose, lactose, and maltose. And then finally, you have polysaccharides, which are many sugars linked together. And these include starches and fibers. But the problem is that our bodies can only absorb monosaccharides. So when we consume the other types of sugars, our bodies must break them down into single sugars before we can use them for energy. And this brings us to the first dangerous effect of sugar, which is that it causes liver damage. And this is because your liver has to convert any excess sugar that you consume into fat. And too much sugar in your liver can become overloaded and turn into fat itself. In fact, you can develop a condition known as hepatic steatosis, which is basically liver disease from eating too much sugar. But the crazy thing is that the average American consumes over 60 kilograms of added sugar every year. And that equals out to be about 8 teaspoons per person per day. And we don't even need sugar in our diets. So why do we consume so much of it? Well, that's because food manufacturers have been adding more and more sugar into our food supply to make everything taste better. In fact, some researchers believe that the reason why we have an obesity epidemic, now is because of the introduction of added sugar into our diets. Before this, people would consume natural sugars found in fruits and vegetables, which were always paired with fiber and water. This made it nearly impossible to consume too much sugar. However, as soon as you start consuming added sugar, it becomes very easy to go overboard. And one of the scariest facts about sugar is that you don't feel full after consuming it. This is because your body doesn't produce leptin, which is the hormone that signals fullness to your brain. And without this signal, you will continue to eat until you feel like you want to throw up. And I think most of us have experienced this before. You just can't stop eating once you start. But it's not your fault. This is simply how sugar affects your neurotransmitters. In fact, sugar does all sorts of crazy things to your brain. For example, sugar can cause depression. If you eat a lot of sugar, your dopamine levels will spike, and then your body will adapt to this by lowering its natural dopamine production. As a result, you may feel depressed, anxious, or have mood swings. In addition, sugar makes you crave more sugar. When you consume sugar, your pancreas releases insulin, which allows sugar to enter your cells. But too much insulin lowers your blood sugar levels below normal, and your body responds by craving more sugar. Another scary fact about sugar is that it causes inflammation. Chronic inflammation is at the root of all disease and illness. And guess what? Sugar promotes inflammation. For example, studies show that sugar consumption increases something called the glycemic index. This index measures how high your blood sugar levels increase after you eat certain foods. Foods with a high GI can cause inflammation and increase your risk of chronic diseases. In fact, research shows that eating a meal with a high GI can increase inflammation in your body for up to 24 hours. Another scary fact about sugar is that it can increase your risk of getting infections. This is because sugar suppresses your immune system, making it harder for your body to fight off pathogens. For example, a study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that people who consumed a high amount of sugar had a higher risk of developing common infections like colds and flus. Another study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that eating a high-carb diet can impair your immune system's response to infections. Now, I know a lot of people say that refined sugar is okay in small amounts, but there's no such thing as too little sugar. Even if you only have a little bit of sugar here and there, it can still cause major problems in your body. In fact, even artificial sweeteners can lead to health issues. Artificial sweeteners are about 200 times sweeter than table sugar, and they can alter your gut bacteria and cause leaky gut syndrome. Not to mention that your body absorbs artificial sweeteners as actual sugar, which leads to increased cravings and hunger. So if you want to avoid all the negative effects of sugar, it's important to avoid all sources of sugar, including artificial sweeteners. So what should you eat instead? Well, I recommend eating whole, unprocessed foods such as fruits, vegetables, meats, and nuts. These foods are naturally low in sugar and packed with nutrients that your body needs. Plus, they won't cause any of the negative side effects that come with refined sugar. I also recommend following the 5-2-1 method. This method involves eating 5 servings of vegetables, 2 servings of fruit, and 1 serving of carbohydrates per day. It's a great way to reduce your overall sugar intake, while still enjoying delicious, nutritious meals. It's also important to read food labels carefully. Many processed foods contain added sugars, so it's important to check the ingredients list to make sure you're not getting more than you bargained for. Added sugars can be listed under different names, so it's important to be aware of all of them. Some common names for added sugar include brown sugar, cane sugar, coconut sugar, corn syrup, dextrose, fructose, glucose, honey, maple syrup, molasses, raw sugar, and sucrose. Finally, it's important to drink plenty of water throughout the day. Water can help you stay hydrated and full, which can reduce your cravings for sugary drinks and snacks. Staying hydrated also helps your body flush out toxins and waste, which can boost your overall health and well-being. Cutting back on sugar isn't easy, but it's definitely worth it. By following these tips, you can reduce your sugar intake and improve your overall health and well-being. You may even feel less hungry and have more energy throughout the day. So the next thing I want to talk about is the connection between sugar and weight gain.
Nice.
As I mentioned earlier, sugar causes your body to release insulin, which converts excess sugar into fat. Over time, this can lead to weight gain and obesity. In fact, studies show that people who consume a high amount of sugar are more likely to be overweight or obese than those who consume a low amount. This is because sugar is high on the glycemic index, which means it quickly turns into fat and can easily be stored on your body as glycogen. And unlike complex carbohydrates, simple sugars are rapidly absorbed into your bloodstream, which spikes insulin levels and makes you hungry. Another way that sugar causes weight gain is by increasing your appetite. When you consume sugar, your body releases dopamine, which is a feel-good hormone. This can cause your appetite to increase and lead to overeating. In fact, some studies suggest that consuming sugar can stimulate appetite more than any other type of calorie. So if you want to lose weight, it's important to cut back on sugar as much as possible. By doing so, you can reduce your overall calorie intake and prevent excess sugar from being stored as fat on your body. Now, I know a lot of people say that sugar is okay in moderation, but there's no safe level of sugar consumption. Even if you only consume a little bit of sugar here and there, it can still interfere with your hormones and lead to weight gain. Instead, I recommend eating healthy fats and proteins, which can help you stay full and satisfied without the negative side effects. If you're struggling to lose weight, I recommend checking your diet and cutting out all sources of sugar. Lastly, let's talk about the connection between sugar and diabetes. As you probably already know, diabetes is a disease that affects your body's ability to control blood sugar levels. This is where sugar comes in. Consuming sugar increases your blood sugar levels, which puts extra stress on your pancreas. Over time, this can lead to diabetes or worsen the symptoms of pre-existing diabetes. In fact, studies show that people who consume a high amount of sugar are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than those who consume a low amount. The reason for this is because sugar causes your body to release insulin, which is a hormone that regulates blood sugar levels. However, when you consume too much sugar, your pancreas may not be able to produce enough insulin to keep up, leading to high blood sugar levels and diabetes. In addition, sugar can cause insulin resistance, which is a condition in which your body's cells become less responsive to insulin. This can also lead to high blood sugar levels and diabetes. To prevent diabetes, it's important to avoid added sugar as much as possible. Instead, I recommend eating complex carbohydrates like whole grains and legumes, which can provide energy without the negative side effects. So those are just some of the dangers of sugar. If you want to improve your overall health and well-being, it's important to avoid all forms of added sugar. Instead, focus on eating whole, unprocessed foods like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button and share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.